Right, we're going from here. So they're watching the humpback whale and she's not breathing properly. She's trying to support her calf. She's not breathing. They're not coming up to the surface enough. And Anya has just said, she can't bear it. And she said, please help her. Someone must save her. Do something. And then they start to hear these strange sounds. And the sounds grow louder. And the water and the boat are beginning to shudder. So look, said Anya. Oh, look. And look at this. What are all of those? Wow. Far behind them and way over to each side of them, the water was moving. Great dim shapes were breaking the surface, gleaming silver in the moonlight. Breathy waterspouts were rising in glittering columns into the air. Imagine seeing that, it'd be amazing. Massive tails were flicking upwards and then sinking in slow, deep dives. Whales are coming, said Anya's mother. It must be the rest of the herd. Because whales travel in groups normally. Enormous though they were powerful and streamlined, and they surged through the water at astonishing speed. We should get into shore, said Anya's father dreamily. They could sink us. But he didn't move. Yes, said Anya's mother, but she didn't move either. Anya said nothing. She just stared and stared as the nearest whales submerged and then rose again. So submerged is going under and then coming back up again. So submerging is going under. So they're submerging and coming back up again. Slowly, steadily lifting the mother and her calf between them. I've heard of this, whispered Anya's mother, though the songs of the whales were so loud that her voice was almost lost. I've heard of them rescuing each other. The 4 whales that were acting as supporters lay still and steady on the surface. The rest swam and dived almost as though they were playing, but despite their massive size they made no waves. The little boat did not rock. They're still coming, said Anya's father, but they're not all the same kind. Because if you look here, and particularly in this picture, you can see there are different kinds of whales. They don't all look the same. And if you're a herd of whales, then you are the same kind of whale. They don't travel in herds that are made up of different kinds of whales. The moonlight showed humpback whales with long flippers and tiny back fins, the smooth backs of great right whales, the huge blunt head of a sperm whale, and in the distance a basking white whale so vast that it looked like a small island. There was even a narwhal with a single corkscrew tusk like a sea unicorn. I don't understand, said Anya's mother. Something else was odd too. As the whales moved in the water, the moonlight showed great dark gashes in their sides. Some of them even had harpoons buried deep in their bodies, the shafts sticking out at odd angles. So harpoons, let's see if we can find one here. Here we go, we've got a picture of a harpoon. So harpoons are what people use to kill whales, because some people, particularly longer ago, it's not so common now for people to go hunting for whales, but unfortunately some people still do, but it used to be very common to hunt for whales, and they would kill them with harpoons. So every one of the whales that surrounded the female and her calf was badly injured, but not one of them seemed to mind. Not one of them seemed affected by its wounds. This is the strangest sight anyone ever saw, said Anya's mother. This is magic, said Anya. Afterwards, none of them could say how many whales they saw that night, and none of them could say how long it was before the female humpback recovered. But they all agreed on one thing. In the very second that she began to move on, in the very second that she no longer needed help, every single one of the other whales vanished. They didn't swim away, they didn't submerge, they just weren't there anymore. And where their songs had been, there was silence. Just weren't quite there. When they reached land, Anya and her parents asked everyone they knew and a lot of people they didn't know if they had seen what had happened. No one had. We're the only ones, said Anya's mother, who know that the spirits of the dead whales came to help her. Later there was a report on local radio. A female humpback whale and her calf had been sighted swimming strongly towards the south, well away from the spreading oil slick. We're not quite the only ones who know, said Anya. The whale and her baby, they know too. So there we go. What a magical story about whales who come back to save other whales. And there's the mother and her baby, and they are safe. And they're swimming away to be well and happy. And that is the end of that story. There's a little bit of extra information at the back on this whale fact sheet. It says, there are many different sorts of whale, including the 30-metre long blue whale, the largest animal that has ever lived. They are found in seas and oceans all over the world, but are now most numerous in the cold waters of the Antarctic. All the different whales have been greatly reduced in number, and some, such as the blue whale and the northern right whale, are now very rare and may become extinct. Others, like the sperm whale and the humpback whale in the story, are still fairly common and have a good chance of survival if they continue to be protected. So we've learnt about creatures that become extinct. We've learnt about creatures that are in danger, okay? And lots of whales have to be protected because we don't want them to become extinct, because that would be very, very sad. Whales are very wonderful. They have a right to exist, and they're also an important part of the whole way that the ocean exists and works together. Because when you take one thing away from an environment, everything else starts to not work as well. So, what did you think of whale magic? Did you enjoy it?